Hey guys, it's Fred, and I'm gonna be talking about the Hunger Games today. My Kindle is charging, so excuse the cord. But I adored this series as a teenager. I believe this first came out my freshman year of high school. Freshman or sophomore year of high school. I believe by my junior year, Catching Fire was out, which is the second in the series. I'm not going to be talking about the series as a whole today. I'm just going to be covering my thoughts on the first book alone because I still have to get through Catching Fire. And my experience reading this as an adult was very different from the one when I first read it at 16. When I first read this, um, I adored it to pieces, and I think I love the films a lot more. But what I really feel hinders this book is the fact that the protagonists are so young. I mean, Katniss and Peeta are 16. I think they're 15 when they first go into the arena, and I know you're supposed to be able to suspend your disbelief to a certain degree, but these kids, even given the circumstances, just don't behave like teenagers. I know in Pan Am, you are almost forced to grow up very quickly, and that's fine, especially in District 12. You know you're a pig for slaughter, essentially, and that's all well and good, but teenagers still need to behave like teenagers. And the reason I say this is to not look down on teenagers, or not to say that teenagers can't be mature for their ages, but the adults in this novel were so much. I'm trying to think of how to word this and not sound like an arrogant 24-year-old. Um, Katniss and Peeta are boring. Very, very boring characters. It's interesting to see Katniss's progression as the book goes on, and I know that they're running and running for their lives, competing for their lives, but I think if they even upped their ages just a bit to maybe 18 or 19, this would have been a bit of a more enjoyable experience to me, because in retrospect, this seems like they were 16, 17 only to sell to that market. And I feel like that hinders the book. Because Red Rising and by Pierce Brown had young protagonists, but that was by no means a young adult novel. And I think that The Hunger Games is very mature, and I don't think it talks down to teenagers or its potential audience that reads it. But I do feel like the whole keeping those protagonists in those age, especially with the films, it's okay. This is by no fault of Jennifer Lawrence or Josh, but they don't look 16. They don't look 17. Um, and this isn't a review of the movie, I know, but when they make these films, they're casting 20, 30 somethings, and it's not gonna fly anymore, unfortunately. And I think, again, it would have been so much more beneficial to just make them older, because they're not acting like 17-year-old, 16-year-old, 15-year-old. And it's distracting, I'll be honest. But the things that I did like about this book, in retrospect, I still um I still hate the Capitol and the Capitol's behavior, because that's kind of the point. Um, but the adults in this book are far more interesting than our teenage protagonists, in my opinion, at least. Um, and another thing that I think really hinders this series as a whole so far is the fact that it's only told from Katniss's perspective, because Katniss is a very jaded character, and a lot of the times Katniss doesn't fully understand what's going on, or or it's not that she doesn't understand what's going on, but she's so jaded that she misses a lot of what is going on around her. And I think the films kind of ran with that, because creative liberties and all that, because you can't just shoot a film from one person's perspective. That just I mean, they've tried, but it doesn't work. And I think it's a shame, because we miss out on so many things that go on around Katniss, because Katniss just isn't paying enough attention. Um, and I think a lot of the point of views from the characters are also very jaded as a result of only being in Katniss's head. Um, but things that I liked. I love Effie. I love Effie Trinket. Um, I love Caesar Flickerman. I love Haymitch. I would love a book of Haymitch's games. If we get one spin-off from this series, Suzanne, please, 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 let it be Haymitch. Because I would love to see what made Haymitch go crazy. Or, well, not crazy, but he became an alcoholic after his games, and I think, like Katniss, he is also very jaded, but I think he has a lot more respect for people, even though he was put in this circumstance. And I think it's also a bit unfair for me to judge Katniss on this level, because she is so young. But on the other hand, Haymitch was also her age when he was thrown into the arena. At least I think so. He was around her age, and even though he's much older than her now, he is still learned, and Katniss just refuses to learn and listen, and it's, at times, it can be incredibly frustrating and infuriating, and I think it could have been so much better if I could believe that she was a 16-year-old, and I think even as a 16-year-old, I understood that this world is very different from our own. I mean, it's a called dystopia for a reason. But even then, I don't think I looked at Katniss as a 16-year-old. I always imagined her older, but not necessarily more mature for her age. And given the circumstances, I don't even think she's mature for her age, to be honest with you. I just think that she doesn't know how to adapt beyond the world that she's given, and I think that also contributes to where she ends up at the end of the series. I also wish that we got more of Pan Am, because Pan Am is interesting, and I think Catching Fire is also very interesting because you realize how helpless Katniss is as a character in Catching Fire. Because one, she starts off at a very advantaged position. She knows the woods. She gets her bow. And what arena do they throw her in? Which brings me to my next point, is there is a lot of convenience throughout this whole first book. I understand that Suzanne Collins needs the plot to take off, and so she volunteers for Prim, her sister. I understand that. But to put her in the woods, where she is so accustomed, the arena is the woods. This first book is totally shaped for Katniss to win, and I understand that Katniss needs to win, but Katniss has so many advantages in this first book that it's unfair. And I don't know. I have a lot more critiques for this book, reading it as an adult, and it kind of sucked the fun out of this world for me a little bit. But that's what happens when you get older. You look at things differently, and I think that that's healthy. Don't get me wrong. For all the critiques that I have, I still adore this series to pieces. I'm not going to not read it again. I'm not going to not watch the films. I still adore it. I just didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I would this time around. But anyway, guys, I'm gonna go. Those are my thoughts. I wish they were more positive, but until next time, love you, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.